talking to a not working video. I just parked the bike over there and climbed in through here. I put on some bug spray. I'll show you the stuff that I use. I'm not a big fan of DEET, so I use this stuff called Pi Active. I was talking about using a basket or mesh bag when you're collecting mushrooms, so that when you're walking around, you're spreading the spores around, which can help spread them, which can make your patch better next year. I'll talk more about spores and the underground mushroom network. I'm gonna just do some picking here, and I'm gonna try to do it with you guys, so I apologize if I make you dizzy. So this one here, a slug gut, but this one here is a great one. So that's a chanterelle. I'll do more about identification, but just quickly, you can see underneath, it's not true gills. They look more like veins, not gills. I'll see if I can find a gilled mushroom when I'm in here so we can do a comparison. But when you're looking to identify chanterelles, you're looking at the color, you're looking at these not true gills, you're looking at the inside is white, and when you pull it apart, it's like string cheese. And I'll do more about the identification. Little button that will be a mushroom. This guy here is kind of a little bit too eaten. But I was talking about locations I usually find them in. Ones like this, mossy, damp areas. If I see older birches, like over here, I often will look there. You need to be careful when you're walking around. You don't step on your next harvest. Because the little buttons can hide under leaves. And you can unknowingly step on your next mushroom harvest. When you're walking around, if you're not careful, look, there's a tiny one there. And there. Little tiny ones in here, and they're under they're under the leaves. There's some more small ones over here that'll probably be big mushrooms the next time I come. So you have to be careful when you're foraging that you're not stepping on the buttons of your next harvest. And here's some more chanterelles. See, there's some in here. And there's, look at these, they'll be, by tomorrow or the next day, they'll be big ones, or bigger. There's a button. Sometimes they're much smaller. There's a little button. And if you leave that, tomorrow or the next day, you could have a good sized chanterelle. Here's a ghost pipe. And there's more over there. I just saw one right there. And a ghost pipe. I see a chewed up mushroom, so we can discuss the difference between real gills and false gills. I just ate a spider web. Alright, this guy's been eaten up, but do you see those gills? Real gills. See? Real gills. Let's pull a chanterelle out of our bag. we can compare. You see the difference? See the difference? It's one of the identifying features of a chanterelle. Here's a little coral mushroom. And golden fingers. Just a little guy. Kind of neat. Another one in there. Oh, there's a little bit more up there. And a little bit more over there. So here is some mushrooms, or here are some mushrooms. These are not chanterelles, although they're kind of similar in color, aren't they? Let's pull one out. You see the difference in the color? I'll put our chanterelle there so we can see our false gills. Look at this one. It has real gills, so we immediately know it's not a chanterelle. Let's look at the way that it's shaped. Look at the difference. Now, sometimes you can find chanterelles that maybe aren't as cone-shaped, but still, it's very evident the difference between the chanterelle, not chanterelle. So, we never identify mushrooms based on color only. Here's more of those. These could be jacks, jack-o'-lanterns. It could be. So after I'm done picking them, I come home, and it's rare that I have an opportunity to cook them as soon as I get home. So normally what I do is I put them in a bowl, and I put a piece of paper towel in the bowl to help kind of absorb any moisture. I find it helps keep them a little bit longer. And I put them in the fridge in the crisper drawer. Make sure they don't freeze. And then when it's time to cook them, I begin by doing what I'm doing right now. My laundry's going in the background, so if you hear noises, that's what's going on. Hopefully you can hear me over it. I know phones like to pick up noises other than what you intend them to. But what I do is I cut off any ends, and I'll just like this little leaf here, so I'll just pull that leaf off. I'm gonna give them a quick little rinse before I cook them, but I just knock off any leaves or anything that might have made their way home with me while I'm cutting the ends off. A lot of times when I picture chanterelles, I include them in different supper recipes, or I enjoy them with omelets, anything that calls for mushrooms. But I thought this time I would try something different, so I'm going to make a Chanterelle cheesecake. I just started with half of a cup of heavy cream. I'm using 35% or whipping cream, and I'm starting this now, and the rest of my cheesecake ingredients are sitting on my counter becoming room temperature. I have my heat on low because I don't want to burn or singe my cream. My chanterelles have been washed, and after they've been washed and cleaned, they've been sitting in my sink, just drying off, so I'm not adding a bunch of water to my cream. So I'm going to add them in. Might break up a couple of the bigger ones, but otherwise I'll be using an immersion blender to really puree them into the cream here, so I don't need to be too picky on the size of them because they're going to be pureed or into my cream here. So just a little check-in. It's been on about 15 minutes. I still have the heat on really low, and it's just simmering away. I'm just giving it a stir every once in a while. You can see the colors changing a little bit. My bits are still kind of, not hard, but not to the point where I feel like they're going to puree up really good and fine. So I'm gonna keep going, keep it simmering so we get lots of flavor. So my chanterelle cream has been now at room temperature. I'm going to use the immersion blender soon to puree that. I have my small spring form pan. The spring is actually in here, but I have it wrapped in 2 pieces of heavy duty aluminum because I'm going to cook my cheesecake in a water bath, and I don't want any water to seep in and ruin my cheesecake. So I have that lined, and I have my graham cracker crumbs and butter, sugar, and now I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I like a little bit of a salty crust on my cheesecake. There's the rest of my ingredients, my eggs, my cream cheese, all coming to room temperature, or at room temperature now. So I've just had this all crumbled up, and I'm going to put it in my pan, beginning in the middle kind of, and then very firmly pressing it down. It's important that it's pressed down firmly so that it bakes well and so it doesn't crumble when you're cutting your cheesecake. And you don't want any cheesecake to seep through if you can help it. I'll show you how that looks. I'm going to very firmly press it down. Okay, so I have my infused chanterelle cream. I have all my ingredients at room temperature. I have baked my crust in the oven for about 10 minutes, and I have whisked my cream cheese. I'm just going to do a little bit more. I'm going to take my crust into the oven. It is heated to 350. And now I'm going to start adding in my other ingredients. So I have white granulated sugar. Again, I'll put all the ingredients in the recipe at the end because I'm making a half batch, so I'm kind of just winging it. important to use this kind of blender because you really want it to get whipped really well. Scraping the sides again. It's really important to scrape the sides down so everything gets mixed in thoroughly. Pure vanilla extract. And eggs. Again, they're room temperature. And again, please make sure you read the recipe at the end. Also how many eggs and everything that I've put in. Don't go by counting the video. Here is my half cup of heavy cream that I'm adding in. And I'm going to incorporate that just until, I'm going to add a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to add all of it because there's really not a lot extra here. Maybe it'll turn out, maybe it won't. Maybe I'll be showing you guys my Chanterelle Cheesecake custard. You can see. I don't want to waste it. It smells so good. Alright. So I have all my ingredients incorporated. I've got my hot pan. And I'm going to pour this in and I will show you before I put it in the oven. Okay, so I have my batter in there. It's on top of my graham cracker crust that was already baked in the oven. This is a oven safe pot with water. I'm setting it in here. About 2 inches of water in there surrounding this. Again, this has been lined so the water doesn't get into my spring foam and destroy my batter. And now I'm going to put it in my oven. Now I am making the candied chanterelles and the caramel for the top of our cheesecake. So I put 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water, and I'm going to add a cinnamon stick and I'm going to simmer it for a while and then I'll check in again. So I have my candied chanterelles. They've reduced quite a bit. There you go, the candied chanterelles. And now using the leftover syrup, I'm making chanterelle caramel to put over on top of our chanterelle cheesecake. I'm cooking this, it's going to bubble up. Probably going to bubble up again up to the top of the pot, and I'm just going to make sure it doesn't boil over, and I'm going to wait for that color to turn. So right now it's a little bit darker, but I want to wait for it to turn more of like a burnt reddish brown, but not too dark because it'll continue to darken a little bit after, and then I'll put my whipped cream in it to make the caramel.